Iron Fist is the latest Marvel Netflix show, and this is the fourth show after Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage. I was really excited to see this show. This is the final show before we get the Defenders in November. I'm really excited to see that. I can't wait to see what they do with that. And without giving anything away, here's what this show is about. Danny Rand, played by Finn Jones, has come back after 15 years of just being vanished. He was declared dead after his plane crashed somewhere in the Himalayas, and his entire family was killed. And when he comes back to a very unfamiliar New York City, and he knows martial arts, and he has the power to summon all of his power into a fist, and some enemies are coming after people he knows, and now we have our show. That's the brief description I'm gonna give you because the trailers give it that way. I don't want to really give away too much because there is a lot more to it than meets the eye. And if you've seen, critics are lambasting this show. It is getting really poor reviews on Rotten Tomatoes right now. That said, it's getting some very positive reviews on IMDb. So this one's a crazy critical commercial hit. However, I finished watching the season tonight and yeah, it's a pretty solid show. It's not perfect. It is definitely the weakest Marvel Netflix show till date. It's got problems. In fact, more clear than what was in the previous three shows. Here you can see those problems and they stay for a lot of the season. We'll get to the negatives. There are things about it which I don't like, but for the most part, I was really entertained with what they did. And me, it's a solid enough entry. Finn Jones I thought was great as Danny Rand. He's a character who I really liked from the comics, and when I saw that character being represented here, the fun, quirky kind of kid who he has no idea what's going on around him. He's very naive, and he's also got the aggression in him when he needs it. He channeled all those aspects of Danny Rand perfectly. There's a huge controversy about him being Caucasian and there being this case of whitewashing. He was Caucasian in the comics. I don't really get the controversy here. Like, what's the problem? Honestly, my favorite character of the show was Jessica Henwick as Colleen Wing. She was fantastic. Her fight sequences were excellent. Her dialogue and chemistry with Danny Rand was also really good. There was some nice back and forth between them throughout the season. I thought that was excellently handled, and she was just a really great presence on screen. It was nice to see Claire Temple again. She's not there the entire season, but she is there for a substantial part of it, and whenever she's there, it's always a great presence to see Rosario Dawson. So she's pretty much Nick Fury of the Marvel Netflix universe at this point, and that was fun. I like some of the fight sequences in this quite a bit. There are some very well choreographed scenes. There's a lot of underground fighting, gritty battling between Colleen Wing and others, which was beautifully handled. Very gritty, realistic, adult, actions-packed stuff, which is exactly what these shows are all about. So when you see that stuff really come into fruition in this show, it's brilliant to see that. I really like the direction of the show. They take it in a very steady way, which leads me into my biggest positive about this show. It's a build. This is a straight up slow build, old school TV show. It doesn't get into 100% until like halfway into the show. It is a climb. If you are all for that, then you like it. If you don't like shows which have a gradual build to a big finale, you're gonna hate this show, because this show really depends on that slow build and maintaining the audience's patience. The directors and writers are constantly telling you that we are gonna build to something here, but you have to keep up with us. We have to keep patient. And I'm telling you, if you keep patient, you will be rewarded and you will get some pretty great stuff out of it. It's not perfect build up, I will talk more about that, but it is a good concept. In other shows which have been there for Netflix so far, we've always seen that it starts fast, but it starts to slow down until one big jump again to a fast pace in the last couple of episodes. This one builds. It starts slow, it goes pretty slow for about half the season, and then it starts to slowly pick up until the big explosive finale, which you really enjoy. It is a really solid finale. There are things about it which were a little which I'm not going to go into, but it is a well done setup. Which brings me to my flaws of this show. Now, there are some things about it which for me did not work. And first of all, I can talk about the villains. almost all of them didn't work for me. No spoilers, there are a couple of them who I thought were great. They were really good adversaries for Danny Rand, and whenever they were on screen and in the episodes, they were great. There were some characters that just did not work. Like David Wenham's character, I did not like this character. He was doing great, but his lines and the way he was supposed to really conduct his character as the season went on was just not very well handled. This really hits peak with Ward Meacham, who is Harold's son. And this guy cannot act. I mean, seriously. I was watching this entire show. I just wanted him to leave the screen every chance he could. I did not like this character at all. By the time this is over, every character arc comes around, which I might add is a positive of this season. But in this case, it's not the character that bothered me. It's the performance. He is really bad in this, and I did not like him. He was a very annoying presence, and that was a big letdown for me because there are interesting things that are brought up about his character, and they go into it, but it's just not well done because the actor himself was just not selling it, and he's there for a lot of the show. There's a lot of choppy editing, and you can tell there is a lot of rush elements of the show. There are times when you'll be watching episodes and you'll see these quick blur edit effects which they've used just to really add to a sensation that Danny Rand may be feeling. They are a little sloppy, and there are times where the editing errors are very noticeable. Like a character will have his hands up in one shot, and then in the very next shot they're down, and the facial expression is something else, and the dialogue being said is the same thing. There are a lot of moments like that. The fight sequences also, some of them in the first few episodes, are pretty not good. There's a lot of that low frame rate, high frame rate cutaways, and some shaky cam which is there in it, which I just did not enjoy about it. My issues honestly are mostly with the first half of the show. That's really where the flaws lie. That rushed editing, the choppy stuff, it's really in those first few episodes. It's in episode 5 for me where this thing starts to have a kick and this thing goes into full overdrive mode. But before that, it is a little bit of a build. And again, I appreciate that, but you can't help but tell that this is also the part where you can tell this is not where the show really has its footing. So aside from the fact that I do like some of the performances, I do like some of the fight sequences, I did like the slow build and the plot that is eventually revealed later, and the way some of it is executed is really clever and it sets up things for later very well. I really like the references to previous Netflix shows and other references they make to Marvel property. There's one point where a character says, "Incredible Green Guy." Wonder who he's talking about. However, those first 3-4 episodes where they're really trying to get their footing is noticeable. The problems are there, and things like a Ward and some of the other things which carry forward onto the rest of the season unfortunately wear it down a little bit, and they are elements that stick out, and that was a bit disappointing. But I do want to emphasize I did enjoy the show. I don't think it's that bad. I do recommend giving it a watch nonetheless. I will give Marvel's Iron Fist Season 1 a B. So guys, Iron Fist, have you seen it? What do you think about it? Or if you're still binging it, what do you think about it so far? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know. You guys are the best. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you like this, please subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Ain't nobody